Obs 24.
Hi everybody, and welcome to this video of a playthrough. So I am going to be playing a new game on the, well, I've got to be careful saying her name because I don't want to activate her on my other devices that have her enabled. So I will just say Lady A. I have the Lady A app on my computer. So hopefully this will work. I'm going to be playing two new games today. They're only demo versions, however. They have not been, the full games have not been released. Excuse me. So the first one I'm going to be playing is called The Cursed Painting by Wonderword. It's a company out of Sweden. And so the demo version was released, I think, last month or earlier this month. I don't remember for sure. Might have been last month. So that's what I'm going to be playing. That one and another one also by them called 63rd and Wallace. So I actually have my Lady A app set up for push to talk instead of saying the magic word because I don't want to activate it on my other devices that have her. So I'm going to try this, and I will say right now that I have had issues getting her to activate certain things, so this will be a trial and error. So let's get started.
Studio mode checkbox not checked. Stop recording check. Alexa window. Push to talk button.
Oh shoot, and somebody is calling me, but I'm... let me mute my microphone really quick, and I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that.
Hands push to talk button.
Alright, let's give this a try, and I hope you'll be able to hear it. Let me actually turn the volume up on my mixer. Okay, that should be good enough.
Hands push to talk button.
Play The Cursed Painting.
Welcome to Cursed Painting, a predestination story, by Wonderword. The full story is planned to be released during the first quarter. Until then, please enjoy this demo experience. In the demo, you'll be taking on the role of a hero, who by the request of the town's mayor, ventures to explore a treacherous dungeon, to find the painting of legends. Tell me, dear listener, are you familiar with the legend of the painting?
No.
You think back to the town mayor's words.
Once upon a time, at the end of the world, where the map continent ends and the bottomless sea begins, stood a desolate castle, carved out of solid black rock far above where the salty winds slam into knife-sharp cliffs. Legends speak of a great leader. But there is no one left to tell its tale anymore. Fact is, there is hardly anyone left in these barren lands at all. The castle, long since deserted and overgrown by thistle and brush, holds but one item. Left in the now silent throne room, over the stairs to the throne, hangs a large oil painting depicting a portrait of a once great leader. In the portrait's center, tall and pale, stands a queen, her long black sprawling hair covers her royal armor. In her left hand she seems to be holding broken iron shackles, and in her right hand, the Book of Law and Common Rule. Behind her, an army of undead soldiers are seen to be bowing to her. This is the story of a great leader. This is the story of you.
It is said that whoever finds the painting spoken of in legends is destined to rule the lands. One more question before we start. Dear listener, when faced with danger, would you rather face it head on, from a distance, or with fire?
Face it head on.
So, head on? Is this correct?
Yes.
Excellent! Dear listener, let us begin! Just remember, if you get lost at any point, say either, help, or, repeat, and I will assist you the best I can. You currently find yourself in a basement. You duck under another collapsed roof beam as you make it through the wine cellar, only for your face to be greeted by a cobweb. After a moment of incoherent flailing, you think, would simply escaping this hellhole be such a bad idea? Sure, the town guards would probably hunt you down. After all, their captain did not seem to like you very much, and you would have to forego all that gold which was promised you. Making it to the end of the cellar, you see nothing but a dead end, littered with broken barrels and debris in the corner. You do however notice a gust of wind coming from under the pile of debris. You can turn around and go back to the surface, or clear the debris. What will you do?
Clear the debris.
As you start to clear out the rubble, your eye catches something in the pile. Removing a few chairs reveals a sword, laid on top of the hatch on the floor. Looks like someone used all means necessary to weigh down that trapdoor. You always liked fighting things head on, and it would be wise to arm yourself. Considering the state of decay surrounding you, the prestige of the blade surprises you as you don the sharp sword. With the trapdoor cleared of the rubble, you steel your resolve. You might still get out of this alive after all. As you inspect the trapdoor closer, however, you find it locked, with the mechanism in a horrible state due to the rending of time. Your best course of action would be to either pick the lock with the nails lying around, or forcefully kicking in the trapdoor. What will you do? Pick the lock? Or kick it open?
Kick it open.
You brace yourself and start kicking in the trapdoor. You deliver a hard kick to the trapdoor, and surprisingly, your foot easily passes through. Too easily. It would seem as you fall desperately through the hole and into the darkness. A moment later, you painfully hit the stone floor below. You take 3 damage. Albeit not the most graceful turn of events, or landing. You do feel a bit wiser after the fall. You gain 35 experience. You leveled up. You are now level 2. You can now increase one of your stats. Different stats will help you make different skill checks throughout your journey. When you have 3 points in a skill, you will unlock a special ability. Because you are playing the demo, all your current stats are at 2. Power is for damage with weapons. Agility is for landing attacks. Toughness is for more health. What stat would you like to increase? Power, agility, or toughness?
Agility.
Your agility is now 3. You have unlocked blinding attack. When in combat, say, blinding attack. To perform a blinding but weak attack, you'll need another 195 experience to gain a level. The dampness hits you, almost to the point of drowning you by simply breathing in the air. It takes a few seconds for your eyes to adjust to the dim light down in the cellar. Unlike the wooden panel-clad room from before, this room's floor is made of hard rock. The strange fungus lining on the ceiling gives the room an eerie green shimmer. Cell doors line the walls. You seem to be in a detention area of some sort. Looking around you see a table, to your left. There is a dead body lying in the middle of the room. And an iron door, across the room from where you are standing. It seems to be the only way forward. You can search the table, the dead body, the cells, or the iron door. What will you do?
Search the body.
Nearing the body, you notice that death has surely come for this individual quite some time ago, as decay has not only set in, but already passed. The stench of the bloated corpse makes you think twice about getting any closer. You can perceive a key on a chain hanging loosely from the belt of the body. Will you take the key?
Yes.
As you reach in closer to grab the key while trying to not inhale the foul stench, there is a subtle twitch of a limb. Before you have a chance to react, the corpse grabs your hand firmly and stands up with janky movement that has no business belonging to a dead man. It strikes at you and you take 5 damage. You free yourself of its grasp and ready yourself for combat. Your health is 12. The first round is yours. For an overview of the combat, say, tutorial. Otherwise, try saying, attack, your turn. Action 1.
Tutorial.
During combat, you will get 2 actions each round. You can choose to attack, escape or drink a potion, with other abilities being unlocked as you level up. When attacking, 2 checks will be made. One roll between 1 to 20, plus your agility to see if a hit lands, and 1 for the power of the hit. This die changes depending on what weapon you are using, plus your power. If the first roll is above the target's avoid score, then the hit will land. Yours is currently 13, and will increase as you level your agility. If a hit lands, then the damage roll will be made. You attack by saying, attack, and drink healing potions by saying, potion. You can also escape by saying, escape. You can use blinding attack by saying, blinding attack. You can repeat this message by saying tutorial while in combat. Do you wish to hear the tutorial again?
No.
Your turn. Action 1.
Blinding attack.
You try to blind your foe. You roll 12. You deal 2 damage. Your blinding strike landed, the enemy is blinded. Your turn. Action 2.
Attack.
You roll 6. You deal 10 damage. The monster falls to its knees. It slumps back down even more dead than before. You hold your breath, and yank the key free from its belt. You gain 100 experience. You'll need another 95 experience to gain a level. Suddenly, a cough emanates from one of the cell doors. You can search the table, the dead body, the cells, or the iron door.
Search the table.
What once used to be books and scriptures have reduced to nothing more than a mess of paper residue on the table. On top of the ruined pile of scriptures lies what looks to be a healing potion. Will you take the flask?
Yes.
You take the flask. The content almost alive and its touch gives off a warm and inviting sensation. You grab it and place it inside your inventory. A cough emanates from behind the cell door. You can search the table, the dead body, the cells, or the iron door.
Search the cells.
You head towards the cell where the coughing came from. A man is sitting inside it.
What? Haven't you done enough already? Wait, you're human?
It's quite apparent that the man has been stuck here for way longer than what would be considered humane. The man slowly gets up to the bars and reaches out towards you.
Please, get me out of here. The key.
He looks at the dead body.
You have the key. Please, let me out.
Will you open the cell door?
Yes.
The cell door opens, and the man stumbles over to the table, where he suddenly stops.
Too late. It's too late for me. My body's not my own anymore.
He looks around the table.
I didn't want it to end this way.
He clenches his fists.
I'm sorry. It wants you dead.
The man screams in agony, as his body starts to grow in size. With inhuman strength he wrenches an iron bar, clean off the cell door. Before you can muster a response, the man lunges at you. Your health is 12. The first round is yours. Your turn. Action 1.
Blinding attack.
You try to blind your foe. You roll 6. You miss. Your strike did not blind the monster. Your turn. Action 2.
Potion.
You drink a healing potion. Your health is now 20. The prisoner takes his chance and attacks. He rolls 3. He misses. Round 2. Your health is 20. Your turn. Action 1.
Blinding attack.
You try to blind your foe. You roll 7. You miss. Your strike did not blind the monster. Your turn. Action 2.
Attack.
You roll 17. You deal 8 damage. The prisoner rolls 3. He misses. Round 3. Your health is 20. Your turn. Action 1.
Attack.
You roll 12. You deal 6 damage. Your turn. Action 2.
Attack.
You roll 8. You deal 9 damage. The prisoner falls to his knees. The man falls to the ground.
Oh yeah.
A trail of ash and smoke can be seen leading through his mouth. It tries to take form before dissolving into nothingness. How long had that thing tormented him, you wonder? Looking at the man's body, you notice something hanging on his belt. An orb, engraved with that of a hawk. You pick it up. You gain 150 experience. You leveled up. You are now level 3. What stat would you like to increase? Power, agility, or toughness?
Power.
Your power is now 3. You have unlocked power attack. When in combat, say, power attack. To perform a strong but hard to hit attack, you'll need another 245 experience to gain a level. You can search the table, the dead body, the cells, or the iron door.
Search the iron door.
You walk over to the iron enforced door. It's not clear whether this door was meant to prevent people from entering or exiting the room. It's locked. On closer inspection you notice a giant lock adorned with a hawk sitting beneath the handle. The orb that you got from the ghost seems to fit the lock perfectly. It must have been the jailer of this place. Do you wish to leave the room?
Yes.
The door slowly creaks open. Before lies a pitch-dark corridor leading into the unknown. You take a quick look over your shoulder. What madness was going on in this place? What horrors lurks in the depths? Is the painting of legends really all it is said to be? Well, I can't answer those questions, as I am afraid that we have reached the end of our session. And, even if I could, it is too late for our hero to turn back now. They think, as they journey deeper into the darkness. Now, without the help of your guidance. Thank you for playing. You have been a most excellent guest. But, if you are interested to know how this story ends, would you perhaps want a notification, for when the full story is available?
Yes.
You will be sent a notification. Just remember, if you have not already, to give access to your device. I hope you enjoyed this experience. Until next time, dear listener.
Hands free to push to talk button.
Okay, so that was the Cursed Painting demo by Wanderword. And I really think that is an excellent game to play on your Alexa device, or Echo, I should say. So that was the first game. The second game that I intend on playing in this recording, because this was pretty short, the next game is going to be 63rd and Wallace. It may be slightly longer, but it is still a demo. So without any further ado, I'm going to excuse me, play
Hands push to talk button.
63rd and Wallace. Play 63rd and Wallace.
Okay, here's 63rd and Wallace.
63rd and Wallace, presented by Wanderword. Welcome to 63rd and Wallace, an interactive horror story in 4 episodes, inspired by true events. You can skip this section by speaking the wake-up word for your Echo device followed by skip. Now, take the role of Charlene Weatherford in her pursuit of her lost sister at the infamous World's Fair Hotel in 19th century Chicago, the haunted murder castle of a certain Dr. H.H. Holmes. As you journey further into the castle, take mental notes of situations, places, and things that are accompanied by this melody. Playing is easy. Just speak your intended action, such as close window or examine ticket, after you hear this sound. If you get stuck, simply say hint. Other useful phrases are look around, examine, or use an object. Now, are you ready to play episode 1?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. On behalf of Team Wanderword, enjoy your story.
63rd and Wallace. Chapter 1. The Arrival. In all the letters Caroline would pen to her sister Charlie, regaling her in descriptions of the White City, she omitted one important detail. She never once mentioned the smell. Charlie would have remembered. She saved every letter. A few were even currently tucked into the pockets of her cloak. Now, even with the exhaust from the train rolling in, and the oppressive puffs of powder that clung to the elderly woman seated by her side, all Charlie smelled was the stench of the nearing city, reeking of fresh feces and burnt blood. The window next to Charlie was half open, and as the shifting landscape rushed by, the charcoal smoke drilled deeper into her nostrils. She could no longer sit patiently, and felt she should do something about it.
Close the window.
Charlie stood up. The motion of the train sent her bending forward towards her chair, her hands braced on the seat. With unladylike maneuvers, she pulled her skirt up enough for her to brace her knees in the seat, and pushed the window upwards until it closed with a satisfying click. She blew on the black feather that hung in her face, then situated her clothes. With the window shut, the cabin noise, and more importantly, the stench, drowned to dullness. Charlie had been on the train for so long that she now wanted off with a desperation that bordered on panic. She sat quietly, but her upper body fought against the incessant rocking of the car. Her shoulders jolted with each blow of the whistle. Tugging at the high-laced collar of her starched blouse, Charlie repeated the words her mother had drilled into her head since her young age. Ladies are not supposed to fidget. Ladies remain calm and patient. Her gloved fingers traced the flower on the brooch at her throat, reminding her of home and wild flowers blooming in their fields, and how far away she was from it all. She looked outside. The green hills passed by, interrupted by occasional patches of trees and shrubs. That's when she saw it. A lifeless shape of a woman, pale as white, stood atop a hill, 50 yards from the train track, its head slowly raised, and Charlie felt the hollow stare from its empty eye sockets and the toothless grin. Transfixed, she witnessed the broken and torn figure, dressed only in rags, raise its arm and point straight at Charlie, turning with the movement of the train. And just then, it spoke. "Don't ring the bell." She felt the sudden grip on her shoulder, expecting to see the abomination crouching over her. Instead, a uniformed attendant in a dark blue suit with gold buttons stood at her seat. As if he had felt what Charlie just had seen, he quickly removed his hand from her shoulder. Charlie turned back to the window. The haunted image of the woman was nowhere to be seen. It must be fatigue, she told herself, or I fell asleep for a moment. "My most sincere apologies for interrupting, miss. Tickets, please," he said and looked back at her with a nervous smile.
Give him the ticket.
With the shock from the haunted vision slowly dissipating, Charlie fumbled in her pocket, and with her fingers trembling, she pulled out the ticket and handed it over. "I'm sorry, miss. This is not a train ticket." Charlie looked down, desperately trying to calm down. The ticket in her hand had a Native American chief on the front, and read, "World's Columbian Exposition, Chicago. Admit the bearer. 1st of May to 30th of October, 1893. "I'm so sorry, sir." As she rummaged through her pockets, the attendant clasped his white-gloved hands in front of him and waited patiently. "I take it you're going to the World's Fair?" he inquired while rolling his thumbs. She looked up. "What? Oh, yes." Her breathing caught up with her. I'm hoping to be able to go tomorrow. Her fingers sought another piece of paper, and she pulled it out. She glanced down to make sure she saw CPR, Canadian Pacific Railway, and handed it over. The attendant reviewed the ticket, returned it with a bigger smile. I hope you have enjoyed your travels, Ms. Weatherford. Our first-class passengers have prime seats available in the observation car, if you prefer to sit there as we approach the city. Intrigued, Charlie considered the offer to change seats, or stay in second class.
Change seats. Change to first class.
If you need a moment to think, say, give me a minute. Or, if you need a hint, say, give me a hint.
Give me a hint.
Charlie considered whether she would pick up the map, or depart the train.
Pick up the map.
While other passengers departed the train, Charlie caught sight of a colorful piece of paper on the ground and debated picking it up.
Pick it up.
Hands push to talk button.
Pick up the map.
Even with the large crowd of impatient travelers pushing past her eager to depart the train, she bent down and picked up the paper. Looking closer, she saw that it was a colorful city map. More precisely, a map of Chicago. Large sections of the map were numbered and colored to reference the various World Expo events and exhibits taking place throughout the city. She looked closer and immediately located 63rd Street as one of the major connective avenues in the city. It was hard not to find. Oblivious to the people around her, she carefully traced the straight line that was westbound 63rd Street with her finger, until it crossed with Wallace Avenue, leading north. That's where she was going, she thought to herself. Her bag grew heavier in her hand, leaden and filled with her anxiety and anticipation she was carrying. But her determination weighed more, so she opened the train door. She moved her body down onto the platform, the train car closing behind her. Only a few feet lower, and the atmosphere shifted. Shouting contests between announcers and street sellers echoed through the newly built central station. Charlie clutched the map as she moved through the crowds. She focused on her destination, 63rd and Wallace. Above the station, dark clouds formed, accompanied by the approaching roar of thunder. Chapter 2. The Devil's Mouth. Rain pounded with the thunderstorms that had roamed the skies since Charlie's arrival. The map in her hands was soaked through as she consulted it. The ink ran, making it unreadable. The streets quickly emptied, as bicycles and people retreated indoors for cover. Charlie threw the sodden map into a trash can, and looked into the onslaught of night to find her bearings. In the corner of her eye, she thought she saw a construction site, the rib cage of a building, with broken concrete bones stretching towards the thunderous sky. But as a lightning strike lit up the landscape in a frozen white moment, she saw that her mind had played her a trick. There it was. The hotel's brutal construction was unmistakable. Like a slumbering giant, It rested unchallenged by its sheer size, overshadowing the other buildings and consuming the view of the entire neighboring block. A large sign displaying World's Fair Hotel swayed in the cascading wind. All the windows of the hotel were either darkened or covered by storm shutters, and the only light coming from the hotel shimmered vaguely from the hotel's entrance and lobby on the ground floor. A no vacancy sign was placed in one of the windows. Ha! She said to herself, relishing that she had been correct all along. The hotel had to be open. But if all of the rooms were booked, where would she stay? It will be okay, she told herself. She would just stay with Caroline. They'd both be so happy to be reunited that it would be unlikely for her to part from her sister ever again. As Charlie climbed the steps to the door, she noticed a partially covered metallic object on the steps to the building.
Inspect the object.
Charlie put the bags to the side and leaned down. Almost completely covered by mud and rotten leaves, she noticed the U-shaped metallic object.
Pick up the object.
Charlie picked up the object and removed most of the dirt, exposing the shiny bronze underneath. She felt the weight of the bronze object in her hand and recognized its purpose almost immediately. It was a door knock.
Excuse me. Use the door knocker.
Her hand trembled as she reached out and grasped the door knock that was now firmly threaded into the devil's mouth. She brought it down hard against the plate on the door. A heavy, low sound echoed, and the door slowly swung open. She heard the creaking of hinges, even above the chorus of the storm. "Welcome to the World's Fair Hotel, Charlie," she muttered. For a moment she paused, sensing she forgot something important. But the thought passed as she entered the house on 63rd Street in Wallace, her sister Caroline's last known address. As she entered the threshold to the hotel, she was unable to move. The scene before her was of such contrast to the storm behind her that she paused in the doorway in stunned astonishment. The lobby bustled with life. A rather loud and colorful pageant of women and a few men, dressed for an evening of cocktails and festivities, caught her wide staring eyes. The air smelled of burnt tobacco and sweet perfumes, which wafted from the finely adorned women, and then clung to their male spectators. For a moment, she wondered how she could have missed this spectacle from outside. Even the music mingled in a vibrant staccato, emanating from the phonograph in the center of the room. Outside, thunder clapped its applause, and a heavy wind pushed firmly at Charlie's back, shoving her stumbling through the doorway. With icy fingers, she dragged the bags along the floor. The door suddenly slammed shut, imprisoning her inside. Charlie stood, mouth slightly agape, and searched the crowd for a bellman.
Give me a hint.
Charlie needed to go to the check-in desk in order to inquire about her sister Caroline.
Go to the check-in desk.
Dripping of rain, causing a liquid trail of small pools behind her, she walked past the cigar-smoking gentleman and continued slowly towards the check-in desk, completely ignored by the festivities in the lobby. Once there, she put down her bags and stretched her back. On the desk, she saw a newspaper next to a call bell.
Examine the newspaper.
Hands-free push-to-talk button.
Cold and wet, Charlie stood in front of the reception desk and its call bell as she looked for help.
Examine the newspaper.
If you need a moment to think, say, "Give me a minute." Or, if you need a hint, say, "Give me a hint."
Ring the bell.
The bell was small, hardly bigger than Charlie's hand, but she was taken aback by the penetrating and vibrating sounds emanating from such a tiny object. Suddenly she felt stares coming from the lobby. The whole house seemed to have gone silent, prompting the delicate hairs on the back of her neck to jolt at attention. Or was it perhaps just the sudden drop in temperature? The musky scents of perfume and tobacco had dissipated. The giggle and laughter dead in silence. Even the music had stopped. Charlie slowly turned her head. As if time had frozen, the once animated and smiling faces were slack with an expression, collectively staring straight at her. "Ghosts," she whispered. Chapter 3. The doctor's appointment. A man appeared in the back room at reception and moved slowly towards the registration desk in Charlie. The room had turned to normal, but Charlie was still shaken by the bizarre and silent confrontation just moments ago. But she turned her back to the crowd and concentrated on the approaching figure. With each step, bits of him were revealed by the light of the desk lamp. Charlie's first impression was that the man looked rather normal. He would not have inspired a second glance at any other time. But now, it was as if her attention was held hostage by him. His suit spoke of expensive tastes, but without the finery with which some of the guests in the lobby were presented. His black hair glistened, scented of oils and sandalwood. She watched him approach the desk, and found that his eyebrows and mustache were all too bushy to be attractive. His eyes were so blue and beautiful that they almost appeared to have been crafted of painted polished marble. Charlie found herself in the most uncomfortable predicament of staring. Perhaps he noticed her bad manners, because his mustache twitched, hiding lips that maybe smiled. Perhaps mocking her. She tried to look away from the man. Look down at the desk or the room behind her. He should not have been attractive, and she definitely shouldn't keep staring. That's what she told herself, as he advanced a few more steps, coming right up to the counter so that only the desk separated them. And he wasn't attractive, not by any conventional use of the word. But her breath grew a little ragged, with what she couldn't be sure. Fear, desire, intrigue. Some instinctual part of herself knew that he was something her mother never even thought to warn her about. He carried himself as if he owned the space around him, and by proxy, her. His voice broke the silence. "Good evening," he said. "I am Dr. Holmes, proprietor of the World's Fair Hotel, at your service. Is the young lady inquiring about a room for the night?" Charlie almost laughed. A crazed cackle crouched at the back of her throat, and her lips twitched.
Inquire about sister.
Your sister. I see. May I ask for your sister's name? His eyes were staring deeper into hers.
Caroline.
Intriguing. Let me consult the hotel ledger. We do indeed have one Caroline. Housemaid. Here we are. Caroline Weatherford. He grabbed a key from the rack and pointed at a large staircase behind Charlie. After you, young miss. I think she is expecting you. The man walked past Charlie and headed towards the stairs. She hesitated, but he had already grabbed her bags and, to her surprise, was halfway up the stairs as she turned around. Charlie caught up with him, but made sure to walk a couple of steps behind. They continued up the staircase to the second floor. He stuttered, I apologize for my bluntness, but are you and your sister identical twins or fraternal?
Give me a hint.
Charlie had to say yes or say no to Dr. Holmes.
Yes.
As she climbed the stairs into the hotel, Charlie pondered how much she should reveal about Caroline to Dr. Holmes.
Give me a hint. I forget.
Charlie had to say yes or say no to Dr. Holmes.
Yes.
Yes, I thought so. Very intriguing indeed. His voice raised in excitement. As they arrived at the landing on the third floor, he continued, I heard many great things about you, Charlene. Or should I call you Charlie? Your sister was asking for you. Charlie stopped and turned around to face him. She froze. She even yelled your name the last hours of her sad little life. His smile washed off in an instant as he stepped towards her. Charlie could smell him, a mixture of sweat, pipe tobacco and cheap pomade. I'll take you to her. Before she could move, lightning pain erupted in the back of her head, and she fell into a dark, bottomless well of unconsciousness.
Thank you for actively listening to episode 1 of the Wonder Word story 63rd and Wallace, written by Natalie French. Other contributors include Chanel Bremont, Christina Urganis, Ty Hastings, Russ McMakin, Seth Paxton, Max Schreiber, Jason Swan, and Mark Tintinger, created with Dacefly. Synthetic voices provided by Sarah Proc. In episode 2, Charlie begins to unravel the murder castle's dark and hidden secrets. Now, would you like to play episode 2?
Yes. Yes.
You can purchase episode 2 of 63rd and Wallace. To purchase it, say, buy access to episode 2.
Cancel.
We have bookmarked your progress. Thanks for actively listening.
I might actually purchase it later, depending on how much, because it doesn't say how much it is. But that was episode 1 of 63rd and Wallace. Hope you guys enjoyed these 2 games, and I will be back another time with the rest of the Cursed Painting and 63rd and Wallace. So hope you guys enjoy this video. I will post it to YouTube. Hope you enjoy these, and thank you for subscribing to my channel. Like I said, I don't mean to repeat myself, but I hope you enjoy my videos. Feel free to comment in the comment section below, and I will get back to you all as soon as I can. Thanks for listening and or watching.
Of 64C. Studio mode. Stop recording. Check. Stop recording alert. You should know. Yes.